The thing that we see right now in Palestine with Hamas, when they say this is Islamic war, right, they're Islamic terrorists, a small fraction gives a bad name to the whole Islam religion.
That is all being built out of emotion. How do you feel today? I feel like a girl.
That's the reason why we have all those documents classified for decades.
That's the question that we all wonder, is that, can we handle it?
You should learn about Islam from Muslims. How often do you get call out for being just a Ponzi scheme?
Oh, I think, Patrick is, our CEO, Patrick Badebe, he has a scam and all that. What do you mean he has a scam? I'm sorry, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I just think it's corrupt. What's corrupt? Oh, what's corrupt? Oh, it's just the businesses he's run is corrupt. What kind of businesses he's run that you read? Yeah.
So Lithuanians right now, they're crazy about the whole Ukraine stuff because we're former USSR, and we hate communism. So our biggest enemy is Russians, especially communists. So the thing that happened to Ukraine, Lithuanians are crazy about it. Just we don't want the same thing here in Lithuania.
Oh, so Lithuania,
We're
like right next to you guys is right there
it's
too
almost,
as well.
We're there.
So it would be. So I'm actually a Mexican and Nicaraguense, but Nicaragua, I'm not sure.
Yes, I know. That's a small country.
Small little country. And I think Ricky was talking about the other day, like the borders. So Nicaragua trying to go to Mexico.
Yeah.
It's brutal out there. Because the same way where we say, hey, the open policy, borders open policy, how we feel like, we're so aggressive.
Yeah.
Well, no, Mexico's aggressive. When Nicaragua is trying to go into the borders of Mexico, no. Because even Nicaraguenses are willing to work less for less pay.
Yeah.
And it's taking away jobs for people in Mexico.
I got you. So they don't.
So it's the opposite here as well.
Yeah, so there's the levels to all that shit, right?
Yeah, and I think Ricky was talking about it in your podcast. I saw it. He said Guatemala as well was going through that. Same thing with Nicaragua. So like Nicaraguan Salvadorians, they clash a lot too in that scenario.
But Mexico is a huge country, right? Mm-hmm. But Nicaragua, Guatemala, they're small countries.
They're all right there. And they're trying to go into Mexico because there's more opportunity in Mexico.
So I always have a question like, why don't they fix the country? It's impossible because of the corruption. Why don't you fix, for instance, Mexico, right? That's a big country. You've got a lot of tourists. You've got a lot of places for them to visit, the ocean, everything. You've got absolutely everything there in Mexico. But why don't you fix the country so people would live there and prosper?
Mm-hmm. I think that's a question that a lot of people have always asked, like what's holding us back? But I think it's just greed. A lot has to do with greed. People.
You mean on the top, they're so greedy they don't.
Overall, and I think there's changes that people don't want to make. But this has been going on for many generations.
Yes.
And I think it's obviously here in the United States. I would say there's different regulations. We have some laws and authority. But there's some insight in between where you don't see on the news, and in Mexico it's just it's out in the open. I think this is a lot of corruption. It's a lot of the country where people take advantage of it and they want to just keep it that way. And it's just customs. Like in Latino communities, one thing is it's just customary. And
what do you mean?
Well, in the sense of we don't want any change. It's always been the same.
I guess the traditions.
Everything from religion to politics to even parenting. Like parenting, we want to keep it the same in Mexico, where husband and wife, man is providing for. That's still a thing. Men are providing for the family. Good. Yeah, 100%. That's good. But I think it's just there hasn't been a step forward. And when there's someone that wants to make a step forward, there's been stories where there is assassinations that happens, like politicians pass away.
Literally.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, you hear the stories. Have you ever seen the show Narcos?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that's the first time I got more familiar with, it was Pablo Escobar. I started growing up and learning more about, narcos, drug trafficking, and I watched the show on Netflix. That's why I got more familiar with those. Like, it's something that it's just money and greed, and people want to take advantage of it, and then it becomes a business, and it's just you can say it's contagious.
Yeah, but that's Colombia. That's the same thing in Mexico.
Yes. Well, that's the way they opened up. It went from cartel to Colombia to Mexico.
Yeah.
And Rican can speak about it more than I can. He's more experienced in that world, but I guess.
But how can Pablo can be a hero to the people? Because he was what they were picturing on that TV show is like he was building schools for poor people. Yeah, but at the same time he was doing explosions at the same Bogota, right? At the same home country. So he's a terrorist, true terrorist. But still, people wear T-shirts like Pablo. What the fuck? How can you do that? So prior to starting this new YouTube channel, I have made around 500 podcasts and interviews in my home country. And I noticed one thing. If you want to make a good content, if you have to have a great interview or a podcast, you have to stay focused. Your mind has to be as sharp as possible. You have to listen to every single word that your guest is telling you. So that's why before every podcast, I have this thing called mindset. So this supplement is a nootropic, which means that it helps your mind to stay focused. For 1 or 2 hours, you will be as focused as possible for your daily routines. Whether you're working, whether you're writing something, whether you're editing videos, maybe shooting some photos, or doing interviews or podcasts, or just shooting some content. This thing is definitely made for you. So before my every podcast, I'm having this mindset. 20 to 30 minutes before we start filming, I'm having this one serving of mindset. Now, there are two versions of this supplement. The one with the caffeine, which has around 2 to 3 espresso shots in one serving, or you have this one, the one that I have in my hands, which is non-stimulant one. I don't like having my caffeine before a workout or before shooting a video, shooting podcast interviews, and etc. You definitely have to try this supplement called Mindset. And of course, I have a discount code for you. If you go to caged.com and use discount code APOLLO, APOLLO, you will get 15% off all of their products. Caged.com, discount code APOLLO. And now let's get back to the podcast.
We look in currently times right now. I think about what's going on in Israel.
Yeah.
And, some people are supporting what's going on with Hamas. Other people are supporting, what's going on with Israelis. And it's the same thing where, Palestinians, they've never got their land back, that they've been taken advantage of. And then same thing, you hear another story. So my thing when I think about how do people support something like that where terrorism takes place, I think it's more of a belief, and it's just out of emotion. But I can say in Pablo Escobar's story, giving back to the people, there was so much respect. When you get involved, that's where, that's what happened. But I'll give an example. I would hear stories where, he would go in restaurants and he would pay for everybody's food, donate to schools, everything like you were talking about. And for the people, it's like, what has the government done for the people that Pablo Escobar was offering for them? And whether it was money, support, and then he did have that terrorism, but that's where I go back to what's going on with the war right now.
Yeah.
And how would you support someone that's going on with the whole terrorism? But it's just, I think it goes back to the belief in what the people have been doing for them already, and what Pablo Escobar did for the people in Colombia. So I guess that's how I see it.
You see, Chris, I believe right now in this situation we have to have a distinction between the Hamas and Palestine, right? So, so people that say are chanting for Palestine, I don't think they're chanting for Hamas, because Hamas is not legal. Well, it's legal in Palestine. It's more than 55%, I believe, of the government is Hamas, but that's not 70, 80, 90%. So half of the population of Gaza Strip, they don't support Hamas. So, but people, I don't know why, but they're saying if you're for Palestine, you're for Hamas. No, people that chant for Palestine, they're saying please have a distinction between us, just the regular people, the children, women, etc., and Hamas, which are the terrorist organization. of course, I understand fully that you can destroy Hamas and not have any casualties.
Yeah.
Because what we've been told is they're hiding in the hospitals, in schools, in apartments, etc. So that's cowardness, right? But that's the art of war.
Yeah.
That's the thing how you can defend yourself, then attack. So this whole Israeli-Palestine thing is very complicated, but the distinction between Palestine and Hamas should be drawn like a red line.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what in regards to Mexico, in Mexico right now, who's in charge? So socialists, liberals, Democrats, who is in charge? Who's the president?
If I can get more involved, that I haven't even put too much attention to be honest with you.
But nothing changes like in 100 years.
That's what like
changed.
I haven't caught any attention. Nothing new that I've seen that caught my attention. So, and I shouldn't be like this, but I'm guilty of it. Sometimes it takes an incident to happen to learn from it.
Yeah.
And what's going on, it got me more familiar. It got me more obsessed, learning more about it. And right now, what's going on with Mexico, I'm not even up to date with it. My main focus is going on right now with the United States. What are we going to do? Are we going to get involved? How are we supporting? When I think about Mexico right now, I'm thinking about open borders. What's going on with there? My wife was telling me the other day, it's like, what happens? How many months have we had the open borders before this whole incident happened? And I was watching the podcast on Valuetainment, PBD podcast. One of the hosts there said, and it made me really process because we think about the election of 2020, where the election's around the corner. And I'm not sure if you heard about Vinny, what he said I'm not sure if you saw the PBD podcast where we were talking about like the open borders also has led a lot of people that we don't know who's been coming in.
Who they are, what they're thinking of.
Right. So they're just waiting for us to make the first strike. That's one I'm thinking. The second one is that what happens when the elections come in and we want to go to the polls and people are afraid to go to the polls. So we go back to 2020 to mail our votes where we say a rigged election.
You see, I believe, so on Wednesday, the leader of Palestine, of Hamas, said that the Friday is the national day of jihad, right? So he told a lot of people just to do some bad stuff. So nothing happened as far as I know.
This Friday, right?
Yes.
We looked this Friday. What was going on? Was it eclipse or something like that? Or something?
Yes, there was a solar
eclipse. There
eclipse.
were so many things going on. I was like, if there ever was a day, this was an interesting day, right? And we're grateful. We're blessed that no incidents. Now, we did hear stories from, I think, what's going on in Germany, what's going on in France, little things, but nothing severe that we were assuming, right?
Yeah.
Would take place. So, yeah.
So, what I don't like about, one more thing that I don't like about the stuff that's going on in Israel and Palestine, that the people don't draw the line between the Muslims and the Islamic terrorists, right? Mm-hmm. So they're saying that the Muslims are killing, the Islam is killing Jews, etc., which is not true because there are only a few countries that are Shiites, which don't like Jews. So Iran, Palestine, and I believe Afghanistan, maybe Taliban, right? Mm-hmm. But the other countries, if we have the UAE, we've got Saudis, we've got all other countries which are Muslim, Morocco, etc. They have no problems with the Christians. So every time they try to pin the war between the religions, this is, I believe, the most explosive thing that can really explode worldwide. So this is what I wouldn't like to see in the nearest future, for sure.
Mm-hmm. No.
So guys, every time I do a podcast, my main goal is to give value to you, to my audience. But I have hard time with my subscribers. A lot of people are watching my podcast, but don't hit that subscribe button. Don't be one of them. Just hit the subscribe button right now, share this podcast with your friend, and this is the best way that you can help me do as better content as I possibly can. And now, let's get back to the podcast.
So Chris, tell me, I want to talk today a lot about taxes, finances, money. So before that, so audience would understand who is in front of me.
Sure.
Would you take like 30 to 45 seconds to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. First, I just want to say thank you for having me on, by the way. Much appreciated.
My pleasure.
And I've seen your content as well. Good content. I love hearing a lot of the speakers that you've had, their mindset, and the questions you ask are really good, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Background about myself, I come from sports, and for me, I was very blessed to be able to be born in this country. My mother was born in Mexico, and my father was born in San Francisco, but he grew up in Mexico. So he was born here, and then right after birth, boom, we're taking him back to Nicaragua. So both parents are not. My father's not an immigrant, but he just came back and started living in the States. My mom was an immigrant, got her citizenship, and she became an entrepreneur, real estate agent, successful. My father went the 9 to 5. He worked for a company called Pacific Bell. Was making 6 figures there. So I grew up not worrying about
money at all.
I was taken care of, and that's the beautiful thing about the American dream, that people come here to live the American dream, to give that to their family. So I grew up with a mindset of you can do it because the opportunity is here. And I played baseball for about 16 years. I thought I was going to go into the major league. I played some minor league baseball, but I got hurt, so I had to let that go. Didn't know which route I was going to take. I did go to school, so in my mind, my dad was working for someone, and my mom never worked for someone. So in my mind, I had 2 different approaches I can take in life. And
my mom was a housewife?
No, my mom, she owned a real estate business.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so my mom was a broker. She was a real estate agent she's been a real estate agent for about more than 30 years. So I saw my mom be a business owner, and I saw my dad be an employee. So I got both perspectives in life. So pretty much was going to school, but at the same time, I got to see an opportunity where, hey, what if you were to, work for a real estate company? And I went to go take my exam. I didn't pass my first time, but throughout that transition, I was thinking about another opportunity. I was thinking about insurance and finances, and I got introduced to this company by somebody that I met at a home goods store one time, and he came up to me and introduced himself to me, and we exchanged numbers, and I got involved in the insurance industry.
Nice.
And been about 7 years now ever since. Yeah, but that's a little background. But I said, so full time I do I do insurance, and then I do real estate investing on the side.
What's the real estate exam? How does it look like? How many questions?
I've only took one exam. It's 150 questions.
Wow.
You need 70% to pass. So, but that's the benefit about the insurance is much more easier. Only 80 questions here. So.
And it's regulated by the state.
So the DRE of California. So, but yeah, for the real estate side, the department, the DRE department.
So you're now both in life insurance and in real estate, right?
No. So I never ended up passing my real estate exam because once
But you're investing.
Yeah, so I have properties. I have units. I just purchased property. I'm not selling or as an agent, pretty much. So
let's start with life insurance. So life insurance is basically what? There's two products, right? You pay, for instance, $100 a month. Mm-hmm. You've got your life insured. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, $50 out of 100 goes to life insurance, and $50 goes to investing. Is that correct?
That's not necessarily, because your age has a lot to do with it. What they're going to go based off when they are calculating the amount of coverage you are going to receive is based off of, if 100,000 to a 30-year-old versus a 50-year-old, which is completely different. Yeah. So if you're talking about an account that's a permanent insurance, that's going to be a little bit different. So it depends on how much is going to insurance and how much is you're building cash value. Because you're talking about where it's able to build money inside. Yes. So if you're talking about somebody that's 30 years old, and let's just say they put $100 in there. Now, I'm not going to give you the exact statistic, but the first years for anybody, it's mainly going to the insurance company. I want to say a good maybe 70 to 80 to 90% of the time. For
all the employees get paid? For the salaries for the employees, etc., right?
No, because insurance companies take all the risk. So I want to give you an example. Imagine, it's okay if I call you Apollo. You said Apollo. Imagine Apollo, I'm the insurance company, and I'm going to insure you for $1 million, right? And you're only paying me $20. I'm sorry. If this is a permanent policy, let's exaggerate more. I'm covering you for $1 million, and you're putting in, let's just say, $100. Let's keep it simple. $100 a month.
Yeah.
What happens if you pass away the first month? Who loses a lot of money?
You, the company.
So I'm taking all the risk in the front end. So what the insurance companies do, the first 1, 2, and 3 years, they take all the risk. So majority of it is going to an insurance company.
I got you.
But after the 5th and 10th and 15 years, you're going to get that credited back, especially with the compound interest that's been taking place.
I got you.
So now that's just an example of setting up that account the first few years. Now we're going to get more metrics. Now the 30-year-old and the 50-year-old. Now you say, hey, this person is more expensive. So I'm sorry, this person is more older because they have less time and more health.
More
risk, right?
Yeah.
So then maybe more of it might actually be towards the insurance. You're paying more for the cost of insurance because now you're also much more older too. And you probably get less coverage. So that's like really into detail, by the way.
But your work for PHP, so the PHP is not an insurance company. It sells insurance policies.
That's referred to an FMO, Financial Marketing Organization.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing is why people buy insurance. So, by the way, people buy insurance like for 100 even more years, right? It's a very, very, very old industry.
Mm-hmm.
So why do people buy life insurance? Because they want to, if something happens, God forbid, your family is fine because they're gonna get paid, and if everything is good, you're gonna get a lot of money or at least some money when you retire, right?
If you structure it properly, yes.
So when insurance company gets their money, my money as a client, they dispose it, they invest it, they take kind of all. The risk is on the client, not on the company. If the company loses money, it's not the company's money. It's the money of a client, right?
So, are you talking about the crediting options?
Yes.
So I'll break it down. Excuse me. So, when it comes to an insurance policy, the insurance companies are going to make a contract with you, and when you are contributing on a monthly basis, you are contributing to what's called a principal. So your principal, and let's just say you put in $100 a month, and multiply that by 12, that's $1,200.
Yeah.
So that is your principal. The first years throughout that time, it's getting credited. But the way it's able to keep the growth and the protection is that the insurance company takes your contribution, they put it into what's called a bond. And the majority of the time, it would be a government AAA bond, where it's going to be credited between 2 to 3%. So what they do is they take the interest from the bond and they put into a call option. So for those that are not familiar with call options, a call option is saying that today, this drink that is in the stock market is worth $1. Tomorrow, it's worth $2.
Yeah.
So I just made $1. So when the interest is getting invested in the call option, depending on what the account does at the end of the year, it will get credited. So for example, if let's just say the market goes up 12% and our floor is 12%, you will get credited 12%.
Yeah.
If the market falls the following year, negative 10%,
Yes.
you lost 0, but you lost your interest of the bond, but you never lost your principal.
So if I pay for instance, if I pay $1,200 a year, if I pay for 30 years, I will still have my money. I will never lose it. That's not a possibility to lose it.
No. The only scenario that can take place, and I'm being very transparent so you can know.
Yeah, of course.
Let's just say Armageddon is here, and for the next 20 years, the market's just bad. The stock market is negative 20%, 30%.
Yeah.
This is worst case scenario. This is what's called a guarantee illustration, which every policy that we ever submit or send to a client has that form there where it says this is guarantee. The guarantee is that you never lose any money. That's one. But the thing is that there is a fee in a policy, which is 1%.
Yes.
So if the account's not growing for 20 years, there is deductions to that account. But if you compare it to 401k, a 401k charges 3 to 4% to manage it. And now let's just add some losses in the stock market.
You're done.
Yeah. Oh, you want to take out money before 15.5? Let's give you some penalties while we're at it. Oh, wait, you haven't paid tax on it? Let's give you another penalty. Whereas this account, it's just a management to keep the account afloat if the market's down. So you have the benefit of having the protection but also having the growth.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you those questions as a foreigner, as not as American, but I believe a lot of Americans, a lot of natives, the people that live here have the same questions. So 401k is a type of retirement fund, right?
No, it's a tax code. It was never supposed to be retirement.
So what is 401k?
So it was.
What is it called?
And I might get the dates off by 2-3 years. The 401k was created in 1973 to 1974, including the IRA. But the IRA was for individual retirement accounts. 401k was for corporations. For example, a Walmart, a Target that was given maybe not to an employee that's part-time, but somebody that's been vested there for a few years.
Yes.
A regular corporate job out there, majority of them will be 401ks. Now, just so the audience can know, there are different types of retirement. Well, they call it retirement accounts. It's a tax code. If you look at it in the IRA, it's a tax code. But depending on what industry you're in, if you're a police officer, you probably have a 403B. If you're a teacher, a 403B. The 457s, I believe, might be firefighters. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll give you an example. The military, there's this called a TSP, a thrift savings account. And for somebody that, if they work for a company that's private and they don't offer retirement accounts, then some people go straight to the banks like a Merrill Lynch, or they go to Charles Schwab or Morgan Stanley, to those banks, and say, I need an IRA because my job doesn't give me a 401k. But it's because everybody says, oh, get a 401k because that's the only thing that we're familiar with.
Yes.
If they came out in the 1974, what was before that? Well, majority of people, 1974, were in their 30s and 40s, so most of them that were going in the workforce started signing up for the 401ks. So they thought that this was the better thing versus a pension, because before that it was a pension plan, which was established when GM boycotted. The employees boycotted GM, which was could get this one wrong, 1925 to 1935, around there, and that's when they created the pension plans. But businesses were losing so much money in the pension. That can go on pension plans.
So pension plan is basically what? A chunk of money, percentage-wise, 2, 3, 5, 10% goes to the pension plan.
So
it's the money you get when you go retire, right?
So it was supposed to be a replacement of your income. So you give 20, 30 years to a company. Yeah. Teachers still do this. So if a teacher makes 50 to 60,000 a year or 70,000 a year, and they work for that company for about 20, 30 years, I believe it's CalPERS or CalSTRS, get those mixed up most of the time, but says that we can match your income as close as we can or completely when you retire. Mm-hmm.
Is it indexed with inflation?
No, it's not. It's based off what their income was. So if their income was 40,000 and they always kept it that way, then that's based off what it is.
Oh, okay.
If their income was at 60,000, then that's
they got the average.
Whatever their income would be.
Yeah.
So going back to the 401k, yeah, it was built in 1974. It was a tax code. They said, you know what? Companies are losing money. We got to figure out, instead of it being all relied on the employer, what if we put all the responsibility on the employee, and instead of us paying them every month to the day they die, what if we just give them an account, so by the time they turn 59 and a half, it's up, they can do whatever they want with that account. And if it runs out of money, well, that's not our fault. If they lose money in the market, that's not our fault. Now it's releasing responsibility of the employer offering retirement after they hit retirement age.
But does an employer have an option not to pay for 401k?
They have an option of not. Yeah, that's correct.
So paying like nothing, and he will get nothing when he retires on 59 and a half.
So there's matching, and then sometimes the employer doesn't have to match at all either. So there are two options.
Also, for instance, if I decide I'm gonna put $100 every month to 401k, the employer can match it and put another $100. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
So there is a benefit for the employer when he does that too, if he or she wants to take advantage of it.
What's the advantage?
So if an employer puts $100, that's an expense.
Yes.
So that is a write-off. For the employee, it's not a write-off. He has to pay taxes later on when he retires, but he has to pay more. but he gets to write it off. He doesn't.
So when a person retires, he gets his 401k, let's say 100 grand. He still has to pay tax from. Why?
Uncle Sam wants a portion of his retirement.
And it depends on in what state do you live?
No, it depends on your tax bracket. But yes, if you think about what state you live, yes, has a lot to do with it when it comes to the state federal tax. But every state, you're gonna have to pay taxes on your retirement account, and sometimes you might pay more than other states.
Okay, so, but if I have, for instance, life insurance and I retire 59 and a half, I have 100 grand, do I have to pay taxes from that amount of money? Why not?
Because you can...
You write it off every time when you
can
pay
borrow against your own life insurance policy.
Explain me.
Yeah. So let's just say, we're gonna use two examples. 401k and a life insurance. Right? Let's start off with the 401k, and that way we go over through the life insurance. So the 401k, so let's just say, you've had the 401k for about 30 years, and you are 59 years old, and you have over, 100,000 to give us 100,000, right? When you're going to go into withdraw your 401k, and you're going to receive your check of 100,000, you have to pay taxes on it. All right, so let's just say we're in California. What would be the tax bracket of you receiving $100,000? What is that tax bracket? That can be anywhere between 20 or 30% if you have nothing to write off. Yeah, so you're gonna receive anywhere between 70 to 80,000.
Okay.
Or even less, right? And that's from your 401k, right? What taxes do is they do three things, right? And you say they're going to go down, stay the same, or go up.
Yes.
Obviously, you can ask this to an audience, but what do you think they're going to do? Are they going to go down, stay the same, or go up?
Taxes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it depends who's going to win in 2024, but usually up.
So the question goes back is, would you rather pay taxes today when taxes are lower? Or would you rather pay taxes later when taxes are higher?
Of course, today.
Right? So today. So the insurance policy, now we're going to insurance policy. You can't write off when you're paying for a life insurance policy. You can't write it off. So you're paying for a policy, right? By the age of 59 and a half, let's just say you've accumulated $100,000.
Yes.
What the insurance companies say is that, hey, we have 100,000. You have the option of two things. You can borrow against your own life insurance policy, or you can withdraw it. If you withdraw it, just like a regular check, that will be taxed.
Okay.
But
this, by the same 20 to 30% if we're in Canada.
Correct.
Okay.
But if you borrow against your life insurance policy, now you're getting a loan from your own policy. And the tax code is you can't tax a loan.
Yes, you can't.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to borrow $100,000 off my own life insurance policy. And then life insurance policy is going to collateralize the $100,000.
But that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. And
most of the people do that.
Yes. People have used that for cars. They use it for college. They use it for real estate, retirement. Yeah.
Do they ever return that loan?
If they want to. They don't have to. They just wouldn't be able to borrow against it no more because they never paid it back. But it's just money that they can borrow against their own policy. So they have $100,000 already. They still have the life insurance policy. They're still paying the monthly premium.
Yeah.
Because now the only thing they have is the death benefit. But now they have $200,000 death benefit, and they have $100,000 cash tax-free.
And they never return the loan? They just simply like die in 20, 30
and
years.
The family, they leave $250,000 to the family.
Yeah. Tax-free too.
So you see, that's why I want to talk about it, because I think more and more people should hear this, because this is the thing when you can go and not pay as much taxes as you could. This is legal. And this is the stuff that a lot of people do, which are just informed, right? Mm-hmm. Which they know about this.
Have you read the book? I have it here. It's called Life and Wealth.
No.
Talks a lot about this. You can even post it on your comments or anything like that. let me see if I can widen it. Here we go. I guess I can't. Let me zoom in real quick. Here it is. So it's called Money, Wealth, Life Insurance by Jake Thomas. And it goes over how many companies like McDonald's borrowed against his own life insurance policy to be able to maintain McDonald's when he was only getting a small percentage with the brothers. Same theme for Disneyland. Most banks did not want to fund an amusement park because most amusement parks were run down. And Walt Disney said, I wanted to create a theme park, and most people want to support that. But Walt was very savvy with his finances, and he was able to borrow against his life insurance policy to be able to fund Disneyland as we are today. I can go on with different stories of JCPenney, same thing. JCPenney was going through a rough patch in 1929, which was the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And financially, they were going through some crisis, but they were able to borrow against their own life insurance policy. We can go on with Stanford University, where they invested in money, and now Stanford University as is today because of life insurance. And we can go on with the list. But the information I'm giving you is just straight out of the book where I read. So I recommend that to anybody.
Do you think this loophole is going ever to be changed?
No. It's something that is a policy that's been going on for many years. Its whole life is something that you're able to utilize. It's like saying, will they ever remove 401ks? No, the 401ks are going to stick around. Life insurance has been around since centuries. I mean, the company I work with, the Alone National Life Group, has been around since 1848 and 175 years. So what life insurance does is they create different accounts over the years. So it used to be called whole life, and then it went from whole life to variable, and then variable to universal, from universal to index, and which is where we are right now. The index that we offer, index universal life, it's called.
Okay, so life insurance, 401ks, and there's IRA.
IRA.
What's the IRA?
Individual retirement accounts.
The difference between 401k and IRA?
Same thing, different names.
Just
different names and where you get them. The IRA, you get it from the bank or a private brokerage.
So basically, you just go to the bank and say, I want to deposit $100 every month for my retirement. That's it?
Well, you have to start it out depending. It can be, you start out with like $2,500 or to $5,000 to start it out, and then you contribute at a monthly basis.
And the bank is required just for managing the money. They invest, you got for you to have interest.
So the banks, they manage it. They charge you fees every time they buy shares. Whether you're making money or losing money, they're still getting compensated.
They never lose.
So their main goal is when the market's good, you're excited. They're calling you. They're like, yeah, this is look what happened. But when the market's bad, they don't pick up your phone. All of a sudden, they're super busy because they don't want you to sell. Because once you sell, they have no control of.
That's a true story. They don't pick up the phone.
There have been scenarios where don't worry about it. It's going to go fine. It's good. They wouldn't want to call you when the market's bad because of fear of having to sell shares, and they have to release the funds, and that's less money in their pockets that they get to manage, because for every dollar that they manage, they get credited for it. They get commissions from it.
So if I have an IRA like for 5 years, and then 1929 happens, right? The Great Depression, I'm fucked.
If the scenario, that's what ended up happening. Back then, it was a lot of people just investing directly with those companies instead of somebody else managing it. You hear people, it's like, I just purchased this. So it was just regular individuals. But if you had an IRA, you're screwed. In that scenario, it's just thinking about the IRAs. They were created around the 1970s as well. The same time 401ks and IRAs, they were built between the 70s.
So most of the people choose 401ks, and they have on the side the life insurance.
Just whatever they do, just whatever career they go to. It's whatever career they end up doing, it's whatever account they might get. Some people don't even have any retirement accounts. They just been working based off whatever they make. I think this is a misconception that people that make money and managing money are two different things. What I'm trying to say is that how many celebrities, how many successful professional broke from one day to, because making money and managing money are two different philosophies.
Yeah.
And for some instance, a lot of people know how to make money, but they don't know how to manage their money. And That's where I go back to, like, most people sometimes don't even have an IRA. They make money, they work, but they don't have any retirement accounts.
Yeah.
So it's not, they don't have to get it. When you work at a corporate job, the HR usually recommends it. So 90% of the time you will have a 401k.
And it's a benefit if, for instance, if the company says, hey, that's the job, we pay you $100,000 a year, for instance, and we cover your 401k. So that's a benefit.
That's the benefits. That's the benefits today. Back then it was, we'll pay you this amount of salary, but then we'll give you a pension. And I was like, cool, so I'll work for you for 20, 30 years. And when I'm done, you're going to pay me the same amount or close to the same amount
till I die.
As if I was working until I die, whether you do good or bad in the company.
And back then that was a problem because there were not as many companies as big as right now, right? Amazon, Microsoft, which are $1 trillion companies. Because right now for those companies that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, so...
But they lobby a lot. They would say, bro, get rid of this stuff. Get rid of pensions. Let's stick to 401ks, IRAs.
Well, a lot of companies took a real big hit. If you look at the 70s and 80s, the top 500 companies in the 70s and 80s in the United States, 90% of them are gone.
Yes.
So we look at when people are lobbying, protesting, sometimes it can be good, it can be bad. When we look at companies like Amazon or Walmart or Target, when some people protest and they want to say, hey, what happens when they want to raise minimum wage? What does that do? Who does that affect?
Not the big companies.
No.
They don't give a shit.
No. It's like, okay, I'll just increase my margins.
Yeah, exactly. But the small business goes out of business.
I can't increase my margins if I haven't run a small business. There's no profit at this point now because I can't hire anybody to be able to meet that margins. I can compete with a Walmart or an Amazon.
Yeah. So they get rid of a competitor.
They go out of business. And this is where now Amazon monopolizes more and more, or bigger franchise companies monopolize more of the ground.
Yeah, and back then the biggest 500 companies were like oil companies, I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
No technologies. Hewlett Packard is 9070 HP, like something 9060, 9070, but that was a small company. Even Apple reached 1 trillion like 2019.
Yeah.
I want to say it was a small company.
It's just different companies back then that you don't hear today.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, I got you. Let's go to the real estate.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you feel about today's real estate and the prices? For instance, if someone's watching and he's thinking of, maybe he's sitting like on a 50 grand, maybe 100 grand cash, and he's thinking of a first down payment. In your opinion, should he buy now? Should he wait for at least 2 years, a year and a half after 2024 elections?
Yeah, when you look at what are you most comfortable with? I'll give you an example. If somebody's gonna buy a house right now, you're not competing with anybody. You make an offer, your offer is gonna be the only offer on the table. Instead of you competing with low interest rates, there's about 20 offers. There has to be something different that stands out compared to you beating all the 20 offers that were sent. So we're at a time right now that if you do make an offer, hey, you actually have more advantage of negotiating the price and closing costs, you name it. And I say this because I recently purchased a property 6 months ago, a duplex, and the price was at $650. We brought it down to $600, and we increased the closing costs. Yeah, and we increased the closing costs. And why did we do that? Because we're the only ones. There's nobody else making that offer, and it was a good deal. But if you don't have cash on hand and you can't be able to do
cash,
a large 20% down for the property. So. And if you have the cash to do it and you're just doing it as a first-time buyer trying to put 3% down.
As a first-time buyer, you have a privilege, right? To have only 3% down payment.
That's correct.
And average down payment starts from 5?
So if you're a first-time buyer, let me give you the accurate because I don't want to give you a... Because I did it 20%. I didn't do first-time buyer. I did a conventional. FHA, loan, what is that again? Interest. Oh no, actually it's down. What was it? It was, okay, got it. 3.5, my fault. It was 3.5 for FHA, first time buyer. Now, going back to the answer is that when you purchase that property, what's their worry? Why people don't want to buy a property? What's the number one thing?
Right now? Mm-hmm. Because of
interest.
Interest, yeah, mortgage.
What is interest? 7 point something,
yeah,
right?
8% almost.
Okay. So.
And it used to be 3 to 4 only a few years ago.
It was last year.
Last year
it was at 2 to 3%. So
monthly payments went twice.
Yeah, they doubled. So instead of you paying $2,000, now you're paying $3,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like buying an extra house in 30 years.
Yeah. But this is what you have to look at. If you are investing in real estate, this is what can happen. So I'll give you an example of what we're doing right now. So I have duplex, okay? Put 20 down, and the mortgage is 43.
Excuse me, duplex is...
2 units, I'm sorry, 2 units.
2 units, okay.
It can be this way, it doesn't matter, just where there's 2 locations where people can rent.
Yeah.
So I got a good deal, San Bernardino, and this is 4,300. The mortgage. I have 2 units. 1 unit is 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. The second unit is 2 bedrooms, 2 bath. 1 unit I'm charging $2,750. The other unit I'm charging $2,600. So in total,
you cover and you get a little bit extra.
Yeah. So if I do the math, $2,750 plus $2,600, I'm receiving $5,350. The mortgage is $4,300. I'm clearing $1,000.
Yeah.
For electricity or whatever. That's at an interest.
At 8.
At 7.3.
Yeah. But you can refinance.
So now what happens to my passive income? Does my passive income increase because I refinance? Yeah. Because now I lower my interest. So let's just say the interest goes down and I refinance. It goes down to 6%, 5%. My mortgage drops.
Yeah.
That means the rent is going to be the same.
It's going to go up.
No, the rent's I can make it go up, but I can keep it the same and I make more profit.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, if it's for real estate investing and you're going to make profit of it, yeah. If you're going to buy a house, no, you can wait a little bit longer. If you're looking to move in, you're not looking to invest in it, then you can get a better deal. If you're going to pay out of your pocket, I'm not paying a single dime for these properties.
You even get surplus, $1,000 a month.
Yeah, and later on when I refinance, I'm going to get more. That's when people are ready to buy, because it's a purchase for them, not an investment for them.
And you bought this property as an LLC or as an individual?
Individual.
Is there a difference? Can you buy as an LLC?
Yeah, you can buy as an LLC.
So then you manage this property?
I manage my own, yeah. Right now, we're doing an actual tour. So there's some at the property right now looking.
So the basic rule is just like always, right? You have to, if you have cash, if you have money and you're willing to wait at least 1 or 2 or 3 years, you're good. Mm-hmm. If you have cash right now, you can have, for instance, 20 to 30% down payment. Mm-hmm. That's great because the loan is less, so you have to pay less to the bank.
Yeah.
You lease it, even if you go even in a few years. Yeah, in a few years you just refinance and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
But can you so you've got
and that's your new retirement account.
You just have the property.
Yeah.
Either you sell it and get a bunch of money and go to Vegas, or you just get...
Or you do a 1031 exchange and you use that money to buy another property with the money that's inside the house, but you don't pay taxes on it. And now
again, what can you do?
So let's just say I have, $100,000 of equity in this property, and all of a sudden I see another unit in 2 years that I love. I'm like, all right, I like that. I'm going to take the 100,000 that's in this property.
Yeah.
I'm going to use the equity here. It's called a headlock. And I'm going to use that to put that down payment for that property and rent it out and do the same thing. Now I have multiple properties that are being rented and that are being taken care of.
And it's not yours money, it's bank's money. It's not yours money, it's bank's money.
Well, it's your equity, but yeah, bank's money, because you still have to pay it back. But it's getting paid back through the mortgage payments. Because you remove the equity of the house.
Yes.
So there's no equity no more, but now you have a new house that's being rented.
And there you have an equity.
Yeah, now you have...
You can take, so you can take one more loan from the bank because of this new property.
Mm-hmm.
So it's endless.
Yeah, You can literally, the math is this. You want to make $1 million is having 20 homes, and each home you're receiving $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
You're a millionaire by having rental properties. If that's not, let me the math is, so 5,000 times 20 homes, that's $100,000 a month. You're getting paid $100,000. You're making 1.2 million a year, just because you have 20 properties and each property receiving $5,000.
And the only way you can screw everything up is if you bought a bad property and you can't rent it out for good money. But if you have five houses,
you have to really do the math around the location. Like this property here, you throw it in somewhere like in Michigan or in South Dakota, the rent is like $1,000. I can't charge $2,700.
Yeah, but the price of the property is not millions.
The price
as
is
well.
the price is probably like $120,000.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Is that California, you're always gonna make money in real estate here.
Uh-huh.
The prices are crazy high, and you can charge that kind of money. So you're always gonna make money in real estate here in California.
Okay, so for instance, I buy a house for $1 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I have a loan. So basically it's not mine, it's bank's property. Do you have to pay property tax?
Yes.
Still?
Yeah.
Even if it's not mine fully? I don't own the house. The bank owns it.
Well, the bank owns the loan of the house, but it's your property. So you still have to pay for the property taxes, including the loan. But if you default on the loan, the bank takes it. If you don't pay property, well, the state takes it. So you're paying for both people.
I got you. Property tax in Cali is around 1%.
I don't know, somewhere around there.
So
you might be right. I haven't been paying attention to it.
So from a 1 million property, you have to pay 10 grand every year. So it's a grand every month.
Yeah.
Roughly. Okay.
Yeah, it's 0.71% in California. Is that right? How much is the property? Yeah, 0.75%. So if the house is 573, then the property tax is 4279, 4,279. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at the real estate. If from that perspective, if you work in the field, if you're a broker, right? Because your mom was working or still working for 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the main job of a broker is just to have the ability to communicate with people, right? Because you can't change the property, you can't change the location, but the way how you speak, how you talk, how you communicate depends whether you're gonna sell this property or not.
Yeah, and that is a big contribution to being a good real estate agent. But it's interesting that we're at a time right now where there's so many real estate agents that doesn't even matter if you have a good personality. I'll give you an example. I can name a good 14 to 20 people, my family and friends, that all do real estate.
That's a lot.
The person that represented my property was not my parents. It was my cousin that just got his license recently. It is not because he's an expert. It's not because he knows how everything, the ins and outs. It's because I wanted to support him. So that's where I go back to, like, sometimes, yeah, it does come to that. But even then, there's 3.1 million real estate agents in the United States. There's only 600,000 homes to sell on Zillow. So for every house, there's already 5 people trying to sell that one property.
3.1 million real estate brokers?
Real estate agents.
Agents, yeah. So if there is a 350 million population of the US, so 1%, correct? Yes.
Well, the population of the United States is
1 in 100 is a real estate agent. Wow.
Yeah, so it's 3.1 real estate agents. The population is 320 million.
Yeah.
But you're not serving the population. You're serving on how many properties there are to sell. So it doesn't matter if there's a lot of people in the United States. It's how many people kind of fill in a house. And the amount of people there are in the United States is not an amount of people properties. Like, there's only 600,000 homes listed on Zillow.
Yeah. So basically, this job, you can earn a lot of money when the market is hot, when the mortgage the interest rate are low, a lot of people buy. You got a lot of commission. You're good. But once again, if you can't manage the money, you just earn money, but you can manage the money. When the time comes, just like this, 2023, it's mortgage interests are 7 to 8%. No one's buying, no one's selling.
Yeah.
So you basically can do, instead of 20 homes, 20 houses a year, to 5.
Yeah.
And if you didn't manage your money that you earned a few years ago, you're screwed.
That's what happened to a lot of real estate agents.
And they switched the job, they switched profession, they go to McDonald's.
Downsizing. This is a year of downsizing for real estate companies.
Where do they usually go?
If the office was 10,000 square feet, today is 2,000 square feet.
Oh, so they keep the same profession. So they stay.
Oh no, some people don't. Some people do leave because they don't need 10,000 square feet no more. Some agents left because instead of, those agents that were closing 20 deals this year, they're closing 10 deals. Those agents that would close 3 deals a year, now they're closing 0.
Yeah. Okay, so let's compare then to two things: real estate agents and life insurance agents, brokers. How do you say it?
Insurance agents,
life insurance
agents. Yeah.
So people buy in the bad times life insurance just like they buy the good times.
Yeah.
No
well,
correlation?
actually, yes. When the market's good, life insurance does good. When the market's bad, life insurance does amazing. Because now people are more aware that there are other options of protecting their money when they finally see losses taking place in their accounts. Because the market's good, they're not losing money. Nobody's losing money. It's like, oh, it's always green. But the moment they start seeing the red ticker symbols where it's saying, oh, you're losing money, it's like that's when you're stressing out. That's when you're like, okay, I'm more open to hearing how can I not lose money now. Not sure if I never remember this statistic, but when poverty increases, so does death. And this is where you see a lot of people passing away. More people get conscious that, oh my God, we're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's an awakening and it's like, my God, I need life insurance. So when poverty does hit, that's what takes place, is that you see a rise in crime, drugs, death, what's going on with wars because of poverty. But then you start to realize that, oh my God, I need life insurance now. So our business has always exploded during hard times. Like in 2001, business took off. In 2008, this life insurance took off. And during the pandemic, never done what I did in the pandemic, most sales I did. And this year I've done the most sales I've done. We've grown, my office, my agency has grown over every year since we've been going from the pandemic between 25 to 50 to 75%. Just because it's more easier now to talk about it.
Yeah.
The 2020 pandemic.
You got the context.
They're like, oh my God, 2020 pandemic. My God, I need life insurance. Now 2022 market crashing. I need an annuity plan. The 2023, there's a war going on. My goodness, I need a life insurance plan and protect my money. So it's just throughout these times, a lot of people in life insurance are making a lot of money, and it's the number one to produce more millionaires than out of any other industry. When they're real estate, engineering, healthcare, retail, restaurants, the number one industry is financial services that generates the most millionaires, especially times right now.
And it's easy to get, right? Once again, you have to communicate.
For the life insurance?
Yeah.
Communication.
And you have to know the product. That's it.
Yeah. The benefit about this account, it sells itself. I think what I like to train our agents is, guys, the simplest thing is that if you trust the bank, what does the bank give you? Oh, protection. Awesome. What about the stock market? What does it give you? Growth. Okay, now tell me the pros and cons to those two. Well, the bank protects your money but doesn't grow it. The stock market grows your money but doesn't protect it. What does our account do? It protects it. And what else? It grows. So what if you can help somebody protect their money and grow it? And it's the simplest thing is like it sells itself, because if you can give somebody the option of having both, why wouldn't you want to have it? What else is out there?
So the analogy that you used when the market is bad, a lot of people are thinking of other options. So that's the same thing with marriage, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, That's the way you put it is like when things are going rough, you say, okay, what other options are there?
Yeah, I don't have to have any other women. I'm good. My wife is amazing, right? We're good. But once something happens, once, twice, 3 times, like 10th arguments, 10 fights, what are the options? What are my stocks worth? Should I go to the market? Yeah, okay, so I got you.
That's a good, funny analogy, yeah.
Tell me your story. How did you get to this company, and what was the hardest thing to get? Is it just the start, or the hardest thing is to get when you reach the ceiling, to switch and to kind of get over that?
Yeah. Well, I feel like for me, how I got started is through fear, and I'll say this: the fear of missing out, the fear of that missed opportunity. I know I grew up in real estate, so as a child, all I saw my parents is every weekend showing houses, and Monday through Friday at the office, morning till late at night, grinding up and down. But then I also grew up with going to nice places, enjoying nice dinners, traveling.
Your dad, you said your dad had 6 figures.
And he was working for Pacific Bell, it's a phone line company, and my mom was a real estate agent.
Yeah, she did as well. Good as well.
She did more. Yeah, she did better than
Even
my father.
Better,
yeah, more better than my father. And
was she happy working this job?
Yeah,
doing real estate.
Yeah.
So you had a good example.
100% good example from both parents. And in 2008, for the first time in my life, I saw a lot of people around me stressing and worrying because of the housing crisis. I saw my aunt that had her own office. Like I said, I have 20 family members. Some of them had their own offices. I saw my aunt have her own office, and she had to close it. And I remember my family members helping her out, moving the stuff from her office to her house because she had to let go of her office. And that's it.
That's LA or Pasadena?
This is in LA.
LA, okay.
Till this day, her office is in a garage ever since 2008. She never wanted to open up her own office.
Okay.
So she works at my mother's office, but she works. She has her own station and her own place. I saw a packed office in real estate of 15 to 20, 30 agents from one day to the other. 5 agents showing up to 3 agents showing up. And then I see one day to other offices with a lot of electricity, and then I go into the office and what's going on with the light? It's like we won't have enough money for the electricity.
Shit. And at the time you're what, 18?
I am 13, 14.
Okay.
Right? And then you see other people getting affected because of real estate. You see other jobs that are laying off, people are getting laid off. Their salaries being cut, unemployment, foreclosure, short sales started taking place. So I grew up to seeing that in 2008 and hearing my parents and other people say, hey, we're having a tough time. I remember my dad was taking me to coaching classes, and the coach was trying to charge us a certain amount, and my dad said, financially, we can't take these classes. They're just too much. So the coach, had to give my dad a discount. That was the first time I realized that, oh my God, it's not always going to be like this, because real estate can go bad. And in 2008, I had that in my head going all through high school. And I was like, well, maybe I don't want to get into real estate. Real estate make a lot of money, yeah. But maybe I would like to have something more secure. So the first time I got, were like, maybe I want the 9 to 5, because I was afraid, because I saw everybody around me losing money, losing their property, losing their cars. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to stick to 9 to 5. So throughout high school, I thought I was going to work for somebody. And then in college, I thought I was going to work for somebody. And my first job was working at a restaurant at Wood Ranch. That was the first time I had a boss and I had a manager and I had to do an interview. And it was nerve-wracking. I never thought I was going to actually do something like that. I always thought I was always going to work for myself. So when I did that, it was a humbling experience. So I was working as a host. And as a host. I was excited but super nervous because I was very introvert. So everybody walking in the door, I was like...
You were the face of the restaurant.
Yeah, I was the first person that they had to see at the restaurant. So for me, it's like I had to be a good impression. Hi, how are you? Welcome. How's your day going? Hello, how are you? And I had to properly understand who to sit with who. The first time I had to learn how to work with other people because other waiters didn't like other waiters. And I had to sit these people with him. And so I started getting more familiar with working with other people in an office. At a restaurant. But in a business. It was a business. And the only time I've ever had working with other people is playing baseball. So I've always worked with players and my teammates. But then it got to the point where I realized that, this was awesome. Every 2 weeks I get a paycheck. But I realized that I started spending more. And I realized that, wait a minute, if I want to spend more, that means, do I have to work more to make more? And I realized that it's not like that. If you work harder at your job, doesn't mean your paycheck will be more the next week or 2 weeks. Then that's when I learned that when you work as an independent contractor, if you work harder, you make more money because now you decide if you put more effort and you get more results, you get paid more.
Yeah, based on the result.
And that's when I made a decision. It's like, you know what? I want to become an entrepreneur. I don't think I'm going to continue school. I was still going to school. I was working at a restaurant, and I was like, I don't want to go to school. I'm going to try to get my real estate. I said, you know what? I'm going to try to do real estate again. I'm going to be really good. And I got so motivated. I started seeing people in suits, driving nice cars. This is when the show started coming out, $1 Million Listings. I'm not sure if you ever saw that show, where these nice suited guys, they're driving the Maybach, Mercedes, Bentley. And I was like, sold the dream. I was like, dude, that is cool. I want to do real estate. That's awesome. And like I told you earlier, I went to go take my exam. I failed. And at one point, my mother said, hey, you should also, I think I want to add insurance. My mom actually said, hey, you should look into insurance. So I was looking at Farmers State Farm. I was looking at bank life insurance. And it's so funny. It's like I was looking for it. But when I was introduced to insurance is by someone that met me at a home goods store. And I was... asking God throughout that time, wherever you see me going into a career, because this is an important time in my life. Most people don't understand between the ages of 19 to 22, you are transitioning, and figuring out, man, like I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And some people, this is like, I know I was going through, I'm gonna be honest, I was going through depression 21, 20 because I didn't know what I was going to do because I lost my baseball career. It's like, well, I wasn't planning to do anything else. So when this came across my desk and I said, God, put me somewhere I can succeed, the person that introduced me to this business, funny enough, this guy was a pastor. So the fact that I asked God put me somewhere I could succeed. I was looking for insurance companies, and this pastor comes along to me at a home goods store and shakes my hand and says, hey, by the way, what do you do for work? Out of the blue. And I said, like, that's an act of God right there, because like I was looking at different companies, but he said, no, I'm going to put you the person that and the company that and the people that I want you to work with, and ended up being PHP. And, that's how I was introduced to this company, is that we exchanged numbers. I show up to the company. I fell in love with the message. I fell in love with the environment. And I said, say less, sign me up, and I get licensed. And that was in 2016. So it's been 7 years now since I've been doing insurance, specifically life insurance.
So how do you earn money by being a life insurance agent? So you earn money by selling the policies, right? Then you can earn money by creating a team and managing the team. So you earn money...
Passive income.
Passive income from them. Mm-hmm. And then you earn money from every policy that you've sold. You earn money, residual. For how many years?
As many years. You're going to get still compensated every year.
If the policy is active, you still...
Every anniversary year, yeah.
So basically you have to kind of grind for 3 to 5 to 7 years, and you're going to be very good in 7 years. Just because of a passive income.
Whatever you're solving for, yes. If you're solving for 6 figures, yes. If you're solving for $500,000, yes. If you're solving for $1 million, yes. If you're solving for $2 million, because everybody has a different floor or where they want to get to, right? So there's
you're naming those numbers of passive income or active?
Active income. So people that want to get to 6-figure income, maybe some people just hover around there. They're okay with just making 6 figures and they stay there. Others, they can go all up to $500,000 or more.
6 figures is cool if you're not in California.
If you're not in California, yeah.
Because in LA, 6 figures. Well, your 6 figures, your wife's 6 figures, maybe you're gonna be good.
Yeah, if both parties are making 6 figures.
Well, 6 figures is not just 100 grand.
That's true. Yeah. One thing that most people don't know: 6 figures at a W-2 versus a 6 figures at a 1099, or 2 different tax codes. So somebody that's an entrepreneur that's making 100,000, they're getting majority of that 100,000.
Yes.
Versus somebody that works at a 95 and their taxes is one W-2, majority of it is being deducted. And instead of them receiving 100,000 in their account, they've only received 70,000 because majority of it has already been deducted by taxes.
Okay. So what was your strategy? To sell policies or to build the team?
Both.
Both at the same time.
Yeah.
But you're better as a leader or you're better as a salesperson?
I like to say both, but I say a leader. I will always like to remain more of a leader than a sales, because a leader can build more sales funnels than you just being good at sales. Because I don't want to sell to the day I die. That's real estate. That's another fear, is that when you're a real estate agent, you're going to be showing houses at the age of 60 and 70 years old still, because there's no passive. Once you sell the property, that's it.
Yes.
So in insurance, you are training and building an agency that's able to provide services for clients, even though you're not there, because you have an agency of agents that you've trained and coach. So would I rather be good in sales or rather be a better teacher? I'd rather be a better teacher, because that builds passive income and residual income, versus I'm only good as my next sale.
Yeah. So let's take, for instance, you have 100 policies a year.
Mm-hmm.
Percentage-wise, out of 100 policies that you've signed, you did, how many % came passive and income? For instance, passive, I mean, someone called you, hello, I know a guy, I know John, so he gave me your number, I want to have an insurance policy. Mm-hmm. Versus active is you prosper. You go, you ask, maybe you should buy, hey, let me. So percentage-wise.
Right now, it's 10% where they call me and refer.
Only
90%.
10%.
Yeah, majority of it right now is active.
So that means the market is so big that 1 out of 10 is only aware of this thing and he calls you on his own. Mm-hmm. 9 out of 10 you have to call them.
Yes, because majority of the time is not something that we think about because it's not mandatory. It's not something that most of us don't want to take the time. It's like taxes. Like, I don't want to do my taxes. And if you're not on top of your taxes, you get in trouble.
Yeah.
So sometimes we procrastinate a lot into doing things. One of them is taxes. A lot of people procrastinate on that. The other one is insurance. People procrastinate. They know they need it, but unfortunately, they don't take time to look for it, because one, they don't know where to go on what questions to ask. That's the number one thing, is what questions to ask. I cannot tell you how many people that make money in this and have no idea about life insurance, because they're so zoned into what they're doing. Is that if somebody doesn't interrupt their life to talk to them about the importance of it, sometimes they will be too late. And when they really need it, they're already 40, 50, 60 years old, and they're trying to get the best policy, but yet their health and their age can be a big contribution to how much they have to put away monthly to be able to have a good life insurance policy. So the saying is, you have to get life insurance when you're young, not when you're older. Big misconception there, where a lot of parents today are currently buying life insurance for their kids right when they're born, so they can use that for college, because you can grow your money in this account, so that way you can have it for college fund, or even imagine at 18, 19, 20, using it for your own property at that age.
Yeah.
Because your parents started out at a young age for you to be able to put away money.
Yeah.
Now, we've done it many years. It's just we kind of strayed away from it. We've talked about Gerber plan. I'm not sure if you ever heard of the Gerber. No. The Gerber was started between 1947 when they created plans for college for kids, and it was the baby food that kids get, the Gerber food. They also created a life insurance plan where parents are putting away money for that, the way the kid can use that for college. So they call it the Gerber plan, but it was a life insurance policy. A lot of people here grew up to that. A lot of baby boomers. You ask anybody that's a baby boomer between 1946 to 1964, everybody knows Gerber.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Anybody, even after 1964 and on, they know Gerber. I feel like now there's so many baby formulas that you don't hear about Gerber. But this is where like Toys R Us, Johnson & Johnson, Toys Mattel, they were started throughout those years. But yeah.
So life insurance right now is not mandatory. But for instance, in Lithuania, I remember, I want to say it like 1999, maybe a year 2000, car insurance was not mandatory. And I remember the day when my dad came home, it's like, we have to buy car insurance. I said, why? Because it became legally mandatory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in 1970s, the 401k was introduced.
In the 70s.
70s, yeah. So if they do the same thing, for instance, if life insurance becomes mandatory in 10 years period.
That would mess up our business for sure.
Mess up?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they would
You're
cut
going
our
to have so
commissions.
many clients.
When something's mandatory, they pay you less.
So how can, if the product remains the same?
No, so the quotes, everything's going to change because it's going to be more monetized. So when something's mandatory, you get paid less. I'll give you an example. Is it mandatory to have car insurance?
In the US, yes.
Is it mandatory to have home insurance in your property?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it mandatory to have insurance in your apartment?
Yes.
Yeah. When do you ever hear a car insurance or home insurance agent
selling and earning a lot of money?
or like, yeah,
I'm a millionaire, yeah.
Is it mandatory to have a home? Like, do you have to buy a property?
No.
That's why real estate agents make a lot of money.
I got you.
Is it mandatory to have a life insurance policy?
No.
That's why we get paid really good.
Okay, yeah. So, because they're going to regulate a lot.
Yeah. When there's regulations, it changes the price. Talk about marijuana. This is why in the United States, California specifically, there's shops that are what is it called, under the radar, that are not disclosed, that are hidden, that it's a medical shop, but it's not official. They don't have their license. They can't sell marijuana, and you go in there and you're gonna always get a best discount. Why?
Because they're not listed, because they're not regulated as hard as...
And when it's regulated, what do they charge? What do people charge?
Taxes.
Yes. But when it's regulated, they charge taxes and it's more expensive.
So every time the government gets involved, it kind of...
It changes the price.
Yeah.
A business owner that's regulated makes less money than someone that's not regulated because it's all cash.
Yeah, so cartels earn a lot of money.
That's what I'm saying. You see what I'm
regulated.
saying? That's what I'm saying. They're not regulated. So why would you want to regulate the cartel? There's so much money that way.
Bro, you're a cartel worker. Yeah. You're not regulated. That's why you drive a Bentley.
It was actually given to me from an ex-cartel person too.
Right now we're in this huge complex, right? Mm-hmm. So it has, I believe, 300 or something apartments in the complex. All those apartments are not for sale. I can only rent it. The big companies own this kind of place, and many others. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about that companies own a lot of property, and a lot of companies are buying a lot of property right now at the moment for the past 2 to 5 years, I want to say?
Well, it's capitalism, right? I think where I kind of, and I can say this for my country, I can say this for, I'll give you an example. When somebody buys property here, that's capitalism. Now, sometimes it's missed out opportunities. I'm not sure what's right or wrong, but you have people buying properties that are not even from this country, right? So they're buying up land,
yes,
which later on can be used against us. Same thing happened in my country, in Nicaragua, where my father was born. Beautiful tropical location. In Nicaragua, there's so many places there where there's land there. it's isolated. So it's little islands. I'm sorry, it's not lands, islands. If you've ever been to, where did I just come back from? I just had Bahamas. Bahamas have different islands where you see Johnny Depp. A lot of celebrities have islands, right? So in Nicaragua, it's the same thing. But a lot of these islands were being purchased by people in China. And they were buying all the properties and the lands. A lot of the people are saying like it's not giving us opportunity to be able to buy these type of properties because now these prices are being skyrocketed where people that are from there can't even afford to buy that property if they work their hardest to be able to live in it. So that's where I'm like, is it taking opportunity for the people here for them to be able to have land from where they're from? And I think there's been some laws where say, you know what, you are not able to buy properties here. If you're from a different country, you have some limitations. Now, if these are, I know probably this is a different way of the question that you were talking about. You were talking about more specific corporations. Yes. I was kind of going more into detail on maybe corporations that are not from here. That's where I'm more like, I guess corporations that are from here. Were you being general, or are you talking about corporations that are just
corporations
here, just in general? Yeah. Honestly, I can't even give you my best. If they're from here, I mean, like, yeah, that's a great opportunity. They're going to monopolize the rent. They can control the rent. It's like, hey, well, wherever you want to move, it's going to still be the same building. I mean, I can't give really much my opinion. I think it would be more of an opinion coming out of a different country and buying the land here. You know, I thought about right off the bat, when you said that, is what's going on with BRIC, the currency.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of countries that are trying to create a currency and is trying to affect the dollar for us. But in the back end, it also it affects them because a lot of people from that country are buying buildings here. And when you're messing with the dollar, you're also affecting the value of what you've already purchased here. So I think that's the thing of what I've been thinking about the last 6 months, 8 months when I started hearing BRIC coming in, the new currency that is trying to form.
Yeah. So, but if we stick to my question, is the problem is in my head is, for instance, if the huge companies, just like we were speaking prior to that about Amazon, Microsoft, Apple,
gotcha.
Yeah. So if the real estate companies own like 50-70% of all the complex apartments in this area, I can't even buy. Even if I have money, I can buy because no one's selling. Mm-hmm. But if this property is owned by an individual, maybe he's got some problems financial, maybe he just wants to sell, maybe he wants to move, so he's got way more options to sell me the property if I have the money. But if the company owns it, the company doesn't give a shit. It can go from surplus of money to downgrading, by not earning money at all. They don't give a shit because they have trillions and trillions of dollars in their bank accounts.
That's even some of it might be an advantage. You can take advantage of that too. There's been scenarios where some companies, they have it and they're like, you know what, I'm not trying to make a profit, I'm just trying to get rid of it too. So there can be another scenario where, you know, if a company does have it, they're just trying to make some profit out of it. Because if they paid it all off and they've held on to it to build more equity, at that point they already made their money, so you can actually negotiate. There's some, because I just really recently went through it as well, because I looked at one of the properties. They bought that house that was worth $90,000. Today it's worth $300,000, but they try to increase it to $380,000. I'm like, wait a minute. You have so much equity in this property. You're already making money. Why would you want to list it this high? Can you lower it to $300,000? Yeah, we can lower it to $300,000. Like, they already made their profit. They're just trying to see how far they can take it.
Yeah, but you have to be bold, right? You have to be able to do bold moves by just negotiating.
Yeah.
Every other person does not know how to negotiate.
This is where you need a good real estate agent. So I was fortunate enough that behind my ear, I had my mother. She says, no, lower it. I was like, this is going to be embarrassing. I can't make this is a low offer. I can't make this offer. This is embarrassing. If I make the low offer, I promise me, if they're not going to bite and make an offer back, that means that they're not desperate or they don't care. And I made the offer and I thought, well, there goes the deal. And no, they came back with another offer. I was like, oh, whoa, there's wiggle room. I didn't know that. Because the appraisal was that, but even then we could even drop it more because they already made profit. They're just trying to get rid of it at this point. Why would they have it for sale?
Yeah. Anyways, so let's get back to life insurance. So if, for instance, if you wanna sell a place in your team as a life insurance agent to the audience, right? Give me some examples of an average policy, life insurance policy that is being signed right now this month. For instance, how much is the average per month?
So if you want a permanent one that's growing your money, and if you're hovering around the age of, let's just say 15 to 25, minimum $100. If you can put away $100 a month, that's something to start out with.
Yeah, but that's definitely not the average that people.
No, that's not the average.
Average is what?
Average where I come across $250 to $500 a month.
500. Okay, so let's take $300 a month.
Mm-hmm.
You get this policy signed for the client. How much do you as an agent get, and how much of residuals will you get every year? I know it's declining, right, from year to year.
The residuals, they drop from 3 to 1% over the years.
Over his annual payments.
That's correct. Yeah. Simple example: if a client's putting $300 a month, multiply that by 12. That's $3,600 that the client's putting away a year.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. At a broker contract, we also get what's called GB bonuses, where our contract can go up to 103%. So if I help a client that is going to contribute $300 a month times 12 is 3,600, and my contract is at 103%, I'm getting paid. Math,
3,600.
3,000 plus the 3%.
3%, yeah. It's not
so whatever that amount is.
Yeah.
As a broker, as a vice president with PHP, that would be our contract. Yeah.
And if you're just starting at the PHP,
starting PHP, everybody starts at a 30% and can go all the way up to 127% contract. Okay. So starting now,
30% is so it's 1,200. This is what he is gonna get out of the 300 per month.
Yeah.
And the residuals?
Residuals as well.
3%.
3% first year, second year it's 2, the following year 1, and then it just maintains.
1 till the policy is active. Okay, and what you get from team members? For instance, I'm a rookie. I got just to your team, and I'm saying, you know what? I don't want to sell. I'm not big into selling. I want to have a team. I want to build a team. So I get just like me, 10% just like me, the rookies.
Yeah. So let's just say that you just want to build an agency.
Yeah.
And if you do the math, you're a director at a 6%, because our contract directors are at 60%. And let's just say you have an agency, but everybody's at a trainee at a 30%. So if we do 250 times 12 is 3,000. And let's just say all your agents sold a policy for 250.
Yeah.
So 3,000 times 10 agents, that's 30,000. Because you're at a 60% and your agents are at a 30%, you receive that 30% difference because you're at a 60, they're at a 30. So 30% of 30,000, what is the math there? Is it?
Yeah, but if they go up, for instance, higher, you get what? If your max is 60% and he is already 100% and more, what you get as a team leader?
So if the person goes from a 40%, then the spread is 20%.
Yeah.
If you're at a 60.
Yes.
If you're at a 60, this person goes to a 50%,
you
then
get the
10. If this person's at a 60, there's no override there because you guys are the same contract. Unless the person decides to go up to a 75%, then you get the spread again. So it's able to incentivize this business. It goes to the biller. The person that wants to work the most will make the most. So even though the person that introduced you to this industry doesn't mean that they're going to make more than you. You can be the first person that gets started with us the first month or two, and you're making more money than the person that's been there 6 months.
Yes, I got you.
So
once they reach the ceiling, they align with you percentage-wise. You don't earn from them. So that's why you have to always get some new members, fresh blood.
Or if you increase your contract, then you receive passive income again.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So that's why you sell and create a team.
Yeah, our contracts go up to 127%. So every agent will always still receive passive income, because our business is able to incentivize us to help the newest person. Because most companies, if I'm at a 90% and the newest person comes in at a 90%, why would I teach them anything? We're in the same contract. I'm not incentivized to teach this person. But if I'm a trainer, I'm a coach, I've been in it for 10 years, and now I'm a broker at a 75%, and this new person comes in at 30%, well, I got the incentive to teach this person, because I want to make sure this person gets licensed, makes money. And if this person makes money, well, guess what? I'm also making money because I'm getting passive income. But now I'm teaching this person how to make money. And now I have somebody that's helping out other families, and I'm reaching out to more people.
Yeah. Okay. So can you explain me what's the point of what I always see those big conferences that PHP company holds every year, I believe even twice a year, right?
Yeah.
At Vegas and MGM.
Yeah.
So they pay a lot of money to the guests, a lot of money for the venue.
Yeah.
So that's just because of marketing. You want to show the world that we're big, or that's because of the people that work for PHP, like we care for you. Look, we bring you Shaq, we bring you late Kobe, Jordan Peterson, and other stars. Or what's the economy behind this event?
I think that's something that we all want to experience in our life, and that PHP can give us the opportunity. For me, I've always wanted to hear the mindset of Mike Tyson. When are we gonna ever have Mike Tyson sit down and get to express himself?
Yeah, but he punches people from...
I want to know why he punches people, though.
Because he's mean, man.
But I want to hear like somebody like a Kobe Bryant. And if we don't have somebody like a Patrick say, hey, I'm going to invite Kobe Bryant to be a guest speaker, I missed out on an opportunity to hear the mindset in person. And when we have guest speakers, that's an excitement for a lot of the newest agents to get to meet people that they thought they'd never meet in their lives. I never thought I was going to meet... a president. I never thought I was going to meet George Bush or Kobe Bryant. So it's a great opportunity for us to create awareness with the company. When we have speakers like that, it's an opportunity for other people that don't know about PHP to like, wait a minute, you guys are having Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson. What is this company? Yeah, we do insurance. Do you want to come to our event? So it's an opportunity for us to be able to open the doors to clients. It's an opportunity to open the doors for new prospects. It's an opportunity for our agents to learn, because it's a 3-day training. It's not just a guest speaker shows up, but we have 3-day trainings throughout the week where we're teaching newest agents about different skill sets that they can add to their business. And then we also have recognition, where people are getting recognized for the first 7 months of the year for their performance. So it's a lot of things going on. It's recognition going on, it's training going on, and then we're having a guest speaker talk to us about what they did to be able to succeed in their life to get where they're at.
How often do you get a call out for being just a Ponzi scheme?
I think it's just creating a clarity. Not that often. I'll give you an example. I had an interview I did the other day with this young individual. And I think most people are very ignorant. Like what they don't really understand is just they see a picture or they read something, but they don't really do investigation. So I did this interview yesterday. This kid's like 20 years old. And we're on a Zoom, and I asked them, so, tell me what you heard about our company. Oh, I think, Patrick is, our CEO, Patrick Bedeve, he has a scam and all that. What do you mean he has a scam? I'm sorry, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I just think it's corrupt. What's corrupt? Oh, what's corrupt? Oh, it's just the businesses he's run is corrupt. What kind of businesses he's run that you read? Oh, I don't want to talk about it. No, I really want to know, because I was just with him yesterday, and he's my CEO. I want to know what you read that he's involved.
Maybe I'm in danger as well.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and I was being, at that point, I was being sarcastic. Let me know. I'm actually really surprised. And he couldn't name one thing. But I got it. Interesting. Yeah, I would be careful what you read, or maybe read what you're reading to understand before you assume. I was just with the person that you're assuming that he's corrupted, that he has corrupted businesses. Let me know, because I actually know majority, if not all of his businesses that he's in. He couldn't really come up with anything, because most people are very ignorant when they're reading about companies. No company is perfect out there. No company is perfect. And nobody's perfect. So when you think about it,
because people are not perfect.
Exactly. Like the other day, when I was talking, I asked this person, and I didn't go so deep into it, but I asked him, what do you do for work? He's a cashier at a liquor store. I don't want to dive into it. 'Cause if we would have said a company, any company, but a liquor store is a liquor store, so I wouldn't know. But if you would have said McDonald's, wait, you say McDonald's doesn't have any corruptions? No, they don't have any Ponzi schemes going on in there. They don't have any the milkshake machine that breaks down. No,
ice cream machine.
The ice cream machine is on. Yeah, every company has. No company is perfect. So when people say things like Ponzi schemes, like, no, bro, what's a Ponzi scheme? What is a Ponzi scheme? I think a lot of people have a misconception that ours is a job. We're independent contractors. So when we are build an agency, we recruit agents to get them licensed. But because we recruit, they assume, oh, are you just recruiting people to do what? To train them to get licensed. They don't know that, oh, you have to get your state license.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I believe, still think that they're getting a job. So how much are you going to pay me? Like
exactly. It's
nothing?
Like, no,
it's result based? Oh, yeah. So you're not paying me shit? Yeah. So I can work for 10 hours a day and get shit? Yeah. Oh, so that's a Ponzi scheme, right? That's a pyramid.
Yeah.
So they have no idea what a Ponzi scheme is.
When you ask them, they don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
They don't know how to explain it.
When I got to the US, so let me get this straight. Like a year ago, 18 months ago, we got to the US for a month just to travel to see LA, Nevada, Arizona, Utah. Amazing country, amazing people. We loved it. Once we got back home to Lithuania, to Spain, I started asking myself about God. I don't know why, but I was just like having these long form conversations with my wife. Though we were never religious, I was never a man of faith, a man of God. I was always against God, against religion, because in Lithuania, I believe like 90, maybe 95% of all the churches are Catholic. You ever been to a Catholic church?
Yeah, I grew up Catholic.
Oh, really? So
and converted to Christianity at 18.
So you know what it means. So the church looks like a museum.
Yep.
The
artwork, so much money, so much art put into it.
Yeah, priests wear those robes. I believe they can't even explain what do these clothes mean to them, etc. So I was always against that. Every time I see Vatican, every time I see all this gold stuff and the way they act and the way they speak and the traditions, I just couldn't acknowledge that.
That's normal. Yeah, I would feel the same way.
Once we got here to the US 6 months ago, I asked my friend to introduce me to one church, because I know America is more Protestants. They're not Catholics, okay? And in the meantime, I'm getting my hand on the pulse and I'm seeing all the stuff that's going on in the world with all that madness, right? So I want to say right now, I'm a man of God. I believe I almost, maybe not even almost, but I found God. And I believe this is the only one. Thank you. I believe this is the only way to survive and not to get crazy, literally, in this world. How did you find God? Was that a journey? Was that an accident? Was that something bad happened in your life when you started praying? Because a lot of people, I believe, they find God when there is something bad in their life, and please God, save my mom, save my son, save my dad, save me for maybe some financial problems, maybe some health problems, and then how they find God.
Yeah. Well, I've always believed in God in my life. I just didn't know how to communicate. I didn't have somebody teach me properly how to communicate with God. So I grew up Catholic, and for me, I grew up watching people, read through the Bible in Spanish, repeat the word. But there was never more of an explanation. There was never much of a one-on-one. There was not so much involvement on the priest. And maybe I was too young to understand it or process it. But I know I got to a point where I was old enough where I started hearing other people talk about how the Bible connects a lot to our personal life, as currently right now too. And at 18, 19, I was going through, depression. I was going through like trying to find myself, my passion, what I wanted to do. And there, people came around me that I knew, friends and relatives. They started talking about God, and I was so shocked because this person's Italian. They know Italian and everything, and they told me they were Christian. I was like, what? Aren't you guys supposed to be like hardcore Catholics? And he said he was Christian. And for me, he explained to me what it meant getting closer to God, what it meant to talking to God. It's like, wait a minute, You mean you can talk to God anytime you like? Absolutely. But don't you have to like share, your mistakes? Is it with someone like a priest? No, you can confess whenever you like in your house and all that. I was like, that was different. It's like, so I don't have to pray to this person or to this person. I can just pray to one person, and Jesus is our connection, our communication to God. So I don't have to pray for any other of these people that are human based, that were
no middleman.
And that was new for me. That was really new for me, and it came at a time in my life where I really needed it. And yeah, I'm Christian, and as time goes on, I'm more proud of the decision I made, especially as we've seen news articles coming out. We're seeing things happening in the Catholic Church, which is very disappointing. There's some things going on that came on Netflix that me and my wife are watching about the Catholic Church, and how some priests and some high-end people took advantage of a lot of kids in the churches, and that's more personal. But it just shows me I made the right choice of heading towards more of a clarity, communication towards God, and not being guided by individuals that are trying to steer me in different directions to pray for other individuals. And I was like, there's only one person I want to pray to. And it was something where I was converted by a relative of mine that's from Italy. He told me to put the hand on the Bible and pray, and from that point on, I was like, okay, so I'm Christian, so what does that mean? And not until my wife, I got married. Before I got married, me and my wife started going to church more. I would go to Harvest Rock Church, and I've been going there about 7 years, more seriously now since I got married, which was in 2020 with my wife. So now we've gone.
Did you get married in the church?
No, unfortunately not. We got married during the pandemic, so everything was closed. So
Zoom.
No, we didn't Zoom anybody in. We went to Glendale. We said, hey, can you marry us? And somebody married us right then and there. Yeah, we're still waiting for the wedding. And so it's been 3 years. We're still trying to figure out if we're going to do the wedding or not.
How do you view other religions? How do you view Islam, for instance?
Well, I mean...
Do you have any friends, Muslims?
No, I don't, to be honest. It's not something that I got familiar with. I've heard little bits and pieces. I haven't educated myself 100%. And that's until today, and that's when I started getting, well, not today, but like ever since what's been going on with the war out there, Israel, that's when I started to get more familiar with it. Patrick did a podcast with different religions. I believe it was Muslim and Christianity and the difference. That's when I started getting more familiar. And there's some commonalities to it as well.
A lot.
And then, but there's some differences in when it comes to
the prophets,
or when you go against your religion. So like I said, I'm still getting familiar with it, so I can't even give any my
Chris,
2 cents on it.
Would you say that the enemy, if you can say so, if the enemy of Christianity is not the Catholic Church, but those individuals, for instance, priests that have been caught being pedophiles, right?
Yeah.
So they give a bad name to Christianity, right?
Yes.
So in my opinion, that's my opinion, the thing that we see right now in Palestine with Hamas, when they say this is Islamic war, right? They're Islamic terrorists. What we see in Iran, in Taliban, in Afghanistan, how they treat women, for instance. I believe so. This small fraction gives a bad name to the whole Islam religion. Mm-hmm. Because I know I have a family. They are friends of ours, so they are totally Muslims.
Okay.
No problems. We have a lot of in common. And when we talked a lot. I've spent with him like maybe 10 to 20 hours just talking straight about religion. We have so much similarities. We have so much in common. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why, but maybe because of media, a lot of people think of Islam, of Muslims, the Taliban, Hamas, Iran, okay? So they think they're violent, they're bad, they hate women, they treat them badly, so they throw stones if their face is not covered right to the Sharia law, they freaking kill the women, etc. But that's not Islam. But you only realize that only once you communicate with some Muslims.
Yeah.
because I did a 3.5 hours podcast with an imam, which is a priest of in a mosque, and like I believe more than 40 questions I got to him. And he said, listen, this has nothing to do with Islam. This has nothing to do with Islam. This is prejudice. This is Taliban. This is Iran. But this is not Saudis. This is not UAE. This is not Morocco, which is almost all Muslims as well. This has nothing to do with this. And during that podcast, right in the beginning, he said to me one thing. He said, you should learn about Islam from Muslims. And a lot of people learn about Islam, about Muslims, not from Muslims, not even from Christians, but from atheists.
Interesting.
So that's the biggest problem, is when you get to know something, not from the source, but from some twisted minds.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's a great advice that everybody should take. Anybody is listening to the podcast, like go to the source and ask that question. Don't just make any assumptions.
Yeah.
Even seeing all these videos of what's going on, I'm seeing both sides. I'm following both sides because I don't want to have a judgment on one thing. I really want to see what's going on. And same thing with different religions. Obviously, there's some religions that for me is like, okay, maybe I do need to understand it, but it's not something that I want to venture off to.
You know, I'm right now at this place of life, and especially in religion, of faith, when I try to kind of play the devil's advocate towards religion and either to approve or disapprove some things. So how does this thing would be if a person would be religious, right? Would he, for instance, hurt a child? Would he steal? Would he be corrupted? Would he do damage to his own people if he would be a true believer, a true faithful Christ follower or a Muhammad follower, right? So I haven't found one thing that would be bad if that person would be a man of God. It doesn't matter if whether he is a Muslim or whether he is Christian. The problem in my mind is when we go to the extremes, right? Because those 10 commandments, they're all good. You can't neglect even one of them. Don't steal, all those are good. But then we try to manipulate and say, okay, so the God said this, but maybe he meant this, because the Bible is so difficult to read. It's so complicated. You can have a lot of gray area. Interpretations, yes. And those extremists, like the cults, Christian cults, they just have their own interpretations of Bible. That's it, nothing else.
Yeah.
So, Chris, in the end of my podcast, I always have the same question, right? So let's have two assumptions. Assumption number one, the President of the United States is the most powerful human being on planet Earth. Assumption number two is you become one. You become the President of the US, the Secret Service comes at you and says, hey, Mr. President, we love you, we're on your side. From now on, you can ask us everything and we will give you the answer. We know everything. Everything that has ever happened on this planet Earth, we know the answers. We got the answers. Just ask us and you will get an answer to your question. What would be your first question?
You asked this question to other people, huh? Did they already know what the question? Most of them already know what the question was.
No, they struggle.
They struggle.
50% of them struggle just like you.
Well, my answer right off the bat would have been alien, but I'm not gonna give that trap. Like, is there aliens? That would be my first one. Honestly, the rest are just gonna be a list. I think at the top of my head, I would want to know is like, is there something that we don't know? Tell me something that I don't know that would shock me. I would want to know that answer. I would have liked for them to tell me what is something that I should know that most people don't know.
Okay.
I think for me it's like that's my child question of like the aliens, but the real question is tell me something that would surprise me that I don't know. Because there's a lot of questions, but if there's anything that they can say that can relate to a lot, if today they said I'm the president, tell me something that I need to know now that's going to affect me currently. Okay,
so let's have assumption number 3. So they tell you, so this 1, 2, 3, all these 3 out of thousands conspiracy theories are true, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter which ones. Would you expose it to the public?
think I just go. It just depends, honestly. Just depends. Sometimes parents do things for their kids for the better for them.
By not telling?
By not telling, because it's not going to benefit them in the long run. Some cases, I would say, not all cases. But, I mean, if it's not a certain thing that is important right now, why does it matter? If it's not going to change anything, why does it matter? But if it's important...
But if it's will?
I would say is something that the people need to know about if it's going to affect them in the long run. But if it has nothing to do with it, why waste your time?
But what if you would know that it will cause chaos? Would you still do it?
No, you're trying to protect. Why would it put an innocent person in harm if it's going to cause chaos? If it will cause chaos, the people that are creating the chaos, they don't care. But the people that are just bystanders are going to get hurt. Businesses, families, and that's where I would think twice before I express something that can really create harm.
So that's why I believe till this day a lot of theories are not approved or disapproved. I believe
it's normal. I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
But do you think people are just like kids because they're like this way, or because they were taught this way?
Because some people are immature. They don't know how to handle.
Because of school? Because of the way they were taught at school?
No, I'm talking in general. If I share something that can create chaos, it's because there's a lot of immature people out there. And we know that
they're naturally immature.
They're naturally immature. So no matter what we say, there's going to be a group of people, they're going to act out of emotions versus logic.
Yeah.
And that is where I take a step back and be like, yeah, this can create can create chaos.
Do you think that can be changed? Like, can we change the other generations to being not that chaotic, to be more emotionally stable, to handle the truth, even if the truth is so hard to swallow?
So that's the question that we all wonder: is that can we handle it? We're in a generation right now where men are thinking they are women, and teachers are okay with letting kids identify as a cat, as a dog, as a boy or girl, go in the same restroom. So we're creating a generation that is all being built out of emotion. How do you feel today? I feel like a girl. We're raising more emotional people than logical people right now. We're in an emotional generation.
Yeah, and that's dangerous, because if you say to a boy or to a grown up man that act like you feel.
Yeah.
Man, I feel angry, but that doesn't mean I have to fucking annihilate this room just because I feel angry. But that's what you said to me is that's the reason why we have all those documents classified for decades. So the JFK was classified for 60 years. So the thing with the vaccines right now classified, I want to say 30 for 40 years. That's because if you tell the truth, if you show the statistics, all the truth right now to the people, it's going to be anarchy, man. Because maybe they were just misled.
Yeah. Or influence. Or from greed.
Yeah, and it affected someone's life.
It can be the same example happened. I guess I go back to this in real estate. People knew what was going on when they were selling properties to people that can't afford it and opening up accounts that they couldn't qualify for. That was emotion, not logic. That is not a logical thing to do. You will screw up the economy. So that was based out of emotion. So even we go back to 2008. Now it's like whatever you feel like you can be. So. It's a mess right now.
Yeah, that's a good example. Sorry. So Chris, where people can find you if they wanna have a consultation about the PHP and becoming a member of your team?
Yeah, so you can reach me at Instagram at the Chris Solis. yeah, reach out to me, message me through Instagram. If I don't reach out to you, drop a comment on any of my pictures. That way, in case you do message me and it gets sent to spam, I can find you through the comments much more faster than my direct messages. So send me a message, any questions that anybody has. I'm an open book.
And if they're not from LA, California, can they do that?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, me, Chris Solis.
No. I mean, can they join your team if they're from other states?
Yeah, anywhere in the United States.
They're just going to be online.
You can work through Zoom online from home, from a local office. We have 170 offices in the company. So you can work from a remote office or from home.
I got you. Chris, thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for these 2 hours. I had a blast. And
was it been 2 hours?
Yeah, it's 2 hours.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's fast. Huh?
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
God bless all who is watching right now.
Thank you.